Hey folks, thanks for checking out Reigniting Liberty. I'm Deneen Borelli and Dr. Tom Borelli is in the house bringing you the truth in black and white. So on this edition of Reigniting Liberty, folks, Democrats think you're stupid. They think you're stupid. And we're going to make a series of this. Democrats think you're stupid. And this edition is about the illegal immigrants, illegal immigration that is happening in our country on an just absolutely outrageous basis. And it's really true. Democrats do think you're stupid, folks. But you want to know why they think you're stupid? Because they are lying to us. They are lying to us about everything, but especially what is going on at our southern border, which is now an issue, a crisis in your very own backyard, including the Borellis. And we will get into that in a moment. But this crisis at the border, it's a perfect example. Millions of illegal immigrants are flooding our borders. They're crossing the border. This is a serious issue. Everyone needs to be on top of this. Everyone needs to be vocal about this. The consequences of the numbers of people that are coming across our border is just simply outrageous, and we can't handle it. Our country cannot handle this. To deflect accountability, that's what the Democrats are doing. They're good at doing that. I think you know that already, but we're reminding you of that anyway. They just lie. Lie. And they are hoping you will believe their nonsense. Dr. Tom, what do you say?
Yeah, Deneen, absolutely. Democrats think you're stupid, and they're counting on too many Americans being stupid and uninformed about the crisis at the southern border. So in this episode of Reigniting Liberty, Deneen and I are going to deliver the truth in black and white by exposing the Democrat lies about what's going on the southern border, the actual crisis. We're going to explain the numerous adverse consequences to the illegal immigrants as well as the American people. We're going to discuss how Republican governors are exposing these Democrat lies. They're doing a great job about that. Finally, we're going to talk about how the illegal immigration issue, the crisis at the border, is going to have an impact on the upcoming midterm elections, which are only weeks away. So we have the benefit to start off this podcast with a highlight reel from the RNC, where we have right from the top, President Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, and Secretary of Homeland Security Mayorkas, all spinning and even worse, directly lying to the American people to your face. Let's listen.
We have a secure border in that is a priority for any nation, including ours and our administration.
We have taken unprecedented action over the past year and a half to secure our border.
And we have a process in place to manage migrants at the border. We're working to make sure it's safe and orderly and humane.
The border is closed.
We agree that the border is secure.
The border is secure.
So, Deneen, what's your take on that highlight reel?
I mean, look, I am grateful for that highlight reel. There are so many other highlight reels as well, but this one is really on point because it just points out how dangerous this really is, Dr. Tom. And this is from Biden on down throughout the Democrat Party, where they are making these comments that is, it's like they're essentially saying there's nothing to see here. Just move along. We have this under control. It's not as bad as your eyes are telling you how bad it is. I mean, we have seen since Biden got into the White House how destructive and how bad things are on the southern border. And we're going to get into the dangerous aspects and all of that at some point. But Dr. Tom, I mean, people who are living along that border, I mean, they are seeing this on a daily basis. Right. Folks are having their properties overrun with illegals crossing their private property, break-ins, all kinds of things that are going on up close and personal. And now that folks are being shipped off and flown and bussed across the country, which we will get into, more and more people are seeing the seriousness of this, of what is going on, Dr. Tom.
Oh, absolutely, Deneen. And keep in mind, here you had the Vice President Harris saying the border is secure. Secretary Mayorkas saying the border is secure. I've never seen such direct lies. There are videos where you see people running across the border and trying to swim and cross the river, and yet Mayorkas, Harris, Jean-Pierre, they're saying the border is secure. It's an outright lie. They're counting on people being uninformed, and that's why we say the Democrats think you're stupid. They're hoping you're not paying attention.
Right. Well, that's what it comes down to. They are hoping. And think about everything that's going on in the news, whether it's national or international. It's hard to focus on all of the stuff that is taking place. I mean, we have to do this for a living, and it is overwhelming. It can be overwhelming. But with this instance, this situation, what is going on at the border, people need to recognize this. People need to speak up. People need to be vocal, whether it's going to your local news, your local representatives, your leaders. People need to step up and do something. Now, Dr. Tom, here is another outstanding lie by Jean-Pierre. She's saying illegal immigrants are not just walking across the southern border. It's not like someone walks over. She just said it so like nonchalantly. Dr. Tom, what's your take?
What can you say? This is another direct lie to the American people. They're not just walking over. The videos, the tapes, the drone footage, the information from Border Patrol, pictures, everything has documented this. And they're counting on, again, the American people just to believe their lies. And even if you're a liberal Democrat, you should be outraged that they're insulting your intelligence. They're telling bold-faced lies. And if you're a Democrat, you're just going to sit there and say, all right, I believe you, despite all the visual and physical evidence that we're seeing throughout the country. It is an absolute outrage. And the arrogance of them just to stand up and lie. Look, I understand if you're in politics, sometimes you have to try to put the best spin on things to avoid negative polls or whatever. I understand that. But this is a different degree. This is a complete series of lies that are denying reality. And these lies have horrible consequences and are having horrible consequences, both for the illegal immigrants as well as for the American people. The consequences of their lies are horrible, both for the illegal immigrants, the illegal aliens. They're the ones who a lot of times suffer death, actually, and we'll get into that, as well as the American people who are suffering from the economic consequences of this siege, this invasion at the border, not including the tens of thousands of deaths from fentanyl that are coming over the Mexican border. So these are big, bold, serious lies, and the Democrats are trying to avoid any accountability for their horrible border policies because they made it an open border.
Well, it's so true. This squarely falls in the laps of Democrats and anyone who supports this nonsense. But here's something from the Washington Post, Dr. Tom, more truth in black and white. Quote, in August, U.S. Customs and Border Protection detained 203,598 migrants crossing from Mexico. The latest figures show, putting authorities on pace to tally more than 2.3 million arrests during the government's 2022 fiscal year, which ends September 30th. The fiscal 2022 total far exceeds last year's total of more than 1.7 million arrests, Dr. Tom. And let's put this staggering these numbers into context. More from Washington Examiner. Quote, in the first year and a half of President Joe Biden's tenure, Border Patrol agents nationwide have arrested more people who came across the border unlawfully than in President Barack Obama's 2 terms. An indication of the magnitude of the situation, end quote. Dr. Tom, these numbers are breathtaking. I have a few more numbers. The numbers under Biden, 3,484,327 apprehensions, and under Obama, 3,384,816, but in 8 years. I mean, I can't, my head is spinning, but let me finish. Under Biden's catch and release policy, over 1 million illegal immigrants were allowed to stay in the U.S., where they will wait for an immigration hearing. Dr. Tom.
Deneen, what's most important, as you mentioned, is the context of these numbers. About 3 million under Biden, but only in a year and a half. And
Right.
that's more than Obama in 8 years.
Yes.
That is staggering. And more information on context. As you mentioned, catch and release is over 1 million illegal immigrants roaming about the country. They were caught and they were released, right?
Yep.
That 1 million is bigger than the population of many states. Alaska, Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota. They don't have a population of 1 million. This is the information that the American people need to understand. These numbers are truly staggering. More illegal immigrants allowed than there are numerous states' population. This is not sustainable. It is absolutely not sustainable. And they keep rushing the border. It is not over.
Yep.
And you also have to keep in mind, these are the illegal immigrants that were caught, right?
Exactly. These are the ones that we know about.
There's
right.
a huge number of what they call getaways.
Or gotaways, yeah.
Right. The gotaways. What does that mean? That means they got through and no one knows it. There's, you can see the videos of this once in a while. While border security is trying to deal with those that are coming over A, B is running over the border over here. Those are the gotaways. And it's amazing. The number is estimated at least 500,000 this fiscal year and 900,000 since fiscal year 2021. There's the number, 900,000. Again, that's more than the population of some states. And we have no idea who these people are. What's their background? What's their arrest records? There have been a number of people that have been arrested on terrorist watch lists. Well, those are the ones that were caught. How many haven't been caught? We don't know. It's absolutely outrageous. And the consequences of this open border is just horrible for everybody. Absolutely horrible. It's a humanitarian crisis. We know there's a large number or large percent of women and children that are raped when they come over the border or on that process. There has been 780 146 deaths of illegal immigrants coming into our country. I'm assuming those are the ones they found dead in the US. We have no idea how many died before getting to the US southern border, right? That's why this is a humanitarian crisis. And let's get into drug overdoses. In government fiscal 2021, there were over 100,000 overdoses, with of those 71,000 from fentanyl. 71,000. This is unbelievable disaster all around for American citizens as well as for the illegal immigrants who are just trying to improve their lives. And they're trying to improve their lives because Biden and team have opened up all these sorts of benefits if they get here. It's a huge lure to bait these people to come into the United States. And too many of them are suffering. And the other ones are running around our country and we have no idea who they are or what they are actually doing. And what's even more amazing is that in addition to lying, the White House is blaming others for this crisis.
Of course.
That's another lie. Press Secretary Jean-Pierre blamed Trump, and now they said that they have to fix the mess that Trump left them.
Right.
Can you believe the lies and the arrogance? Yes, Deneen, they do think you're stupid, and they're counting on the American people being uninformed.
On everything. And this is a really serious topic and situation. But here's another thing to take into consideration, Dr. Tom, contrasting Biden with former President Trump. I mean, Biden is responsible for this huge influx of people flooding our border and roaming our country. Morgan, who does a great job every time we see him on TV. This is from Newsmax. And this is a bit of a summary of what he mentioned recently, what he discussed. Biden eliminated Trump's Remain in Mexico program. Biden is allowing catch and release. Trump stopped that. Asylum cooperative agreement that made asylum seekers try to get asylum in the first country they entered. The wall construction was stopped, and he stopped ICE from deporting illegal immigrants. All of this under Biden's watch.
But Deneen, it's Trump's fault. Didn't you hear Press Secretary Jean-Pierre tell you that?
Everything.
Again, it's the Wizard of Oz, right? Pay no attention to the man behind that curtain.
Right.
Pay no attention to the facts.
Or your eyes. Your very own eyes.
Let's go back to Groucho Marx.
Groucho Marx. Yeah.
Right. You can believe me or your own eyes.
Right.
It's actually Chico Marx who said that, dressed up as Groucho, but you get the point.
Mrs. What was her name? Tisdale?
Yeah, Mrs. Tisdale, right.
Tisdale, right? Well, Biden and team, they are counting on the Democrat advocacy media. The media, don't forget the media. They are not doing their due diligence, doing the research, the investigations, and putting the facts and information out there. They're just not doing it. They're not covering this crisis like they should be. They are hiding the facts, just like the Biden White House is doing. The good news is, Dr. Tom, the red states, especially the red states, the governors, they are sending these illegals to the blue states, to the sanctuary states, the sanctuary cities. I mean, they said they were sanctuary havens for these illegals, right? Well, they've been busing them from Texas and Arizona to places like New York City and elsewhere. The effort is generating news coverage to a certain extent. Now, more and more people are learning and hearing and knowing about this, Dr. Tom. Republican Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, he sent 50 illegals to Martha's Vineyard, and they had a fit. The Democrats went wild. Oh no, they can't stay here. No, no, no. Even though they've made it clear that we are so welcoming and we are open arms for our illegals who are crossing the border. Nope, they squashed that dead on and quickly.
Called in the National Guard, Deneen. Get them out of here. National Guard. 50 people. Only 50.
Yeah.
Get them out. Well, come on here. Remember, with Democrats, always the difference between the words and the emotion and real action. And that's a perfect example.
And they were quick to do so. The buses to New York City and Washington, D.C., from Arizona and Texas, they are generating news and having an effect. And Hillary, I want to be president so badly, Clinton, she called this effort, quote, literally human trafficking, end quote. This is from Hillary Clinton, Dr. Tom. Of course, she would weigh in on this.
Yeah, again. So let's get this straight. Hillary Clinton says it's what, human trafficking? And Jean-Pierre said these are tactics that smugglers use, right? Human smugglers. Yes. This is what they use. Oh, by the way, what about when Biden sends planes carrying illegal immigrants into regional airports like Westchester County Airport, only a few miles from where we live? What's that called? And as our listeners and viewers know, on 2 occasions, we followed buses, one bus up to Sloatsburg, New York, carrying illegal immigrants, and the other to Edison, New Jersey. All of this happened in the dead of night. So that's okay. That's not human trafficking, according to them. So what do you call it? This is another example of the hypocrisy and lies coming out of Democrats. And again, a lot of times, most times they control the media. So when Hillary Clinton says this is literally human trafficking, some idiots believe it. And of course, they don't know about the regional airport information, because to my knowledge, only Newsmax and Fox News have covered this issue. So if you're watching MSNBC, if you're watching CNN, or maybe just local news, you're not getting this. The two of us have to play local news investigative reporters because the news isn't doing their job.
Yeah. In the dead of night, right? Hours away from home, and we're following a bus, not knowing where it's going. And like you mentioned, Sloatsburg, New York, and Edison, New Jersey, at the boat basin. Dr. Tom, why are the Democrats lying so much? Why? Why are they lying? Why?
Because they have to. Desperate people do desperate things. They know the horrendous consequences on both the humanitarian part as well as the economic part and the drug overdose part. They know they are causing this. You expect them to stand up and say, oops, we're sorry we eliminated all those programs that former President Trump had to stop this? No. So what they have to do, they have no choice but to lie. Lie and count on the media not exposing their lies, the Democrat advocacy media, that is, and counting on the American people being oblivious and totally uninformed and gullible just to believe them. That's why they're doing it. Because if the truth actually came out, the American people would definitely hold them accountable. And this is why we're doing this podcast on this topic, to expose the Democrat bold-faced lies to you, the American people.
But also to make sure folks are informed, but also This is a call for folks to roll up their sleeves, Dr. Tom, to do something, to get involved. We have had people reach out to us on social media. They had no idea this was going on in their very own backyard. And this is a time for people to raise this issue to your local media, to your representatives, your governor, your people who you can call, email, demand a meeting or a town hall or something, and get answers to make sure that they know, A, this is happening, and B, what are you going to do about it? Because our resources are being used to take care of these people. And we have folks that need assistance that are in homeless shelters, for example, in New York City, especially our veterans. We've been reading different stories about veterans who don't want these people, the illegals, taking up resources, and they have been quoted saying they're being treated better than they are. And they have been trying to get help and resources. They have been staying in these shelters in New York City, for example, and they're saying they're being treated better than they are, which is outrageous.
Just another America Last policy from Biden and his team. Americans last. Veterans, thank you very much for your service. Oh, by the way, get to the back of the line.
Yep.
Just
terrible.
Totally outrageous.
Well, the bottom line is the Biden administration, they are responsible for this influx. They are causing this influx of illegals, and they are also playing a role with the illegal drugs that are pouring across our border. I mean, the drugs that we are seeing, Dr. Tom, the numbers are staggering. And the fentanyl is just, I mean, I can't even begin to describe how dangerous and harmful that is for Americans, the number of deaths that are occurring, the rainbow fentanyl, they've gotten creative. Now there's the rainbow fentanyl, the chalk looking, I think it's called blocks, like is similar to the chalk that kids use on sidewalks. So they have gotten very creative on how the fentanyl is coming across and how they are getting it out to the communities. And now our young people of all ages are also being targeted, Dr. Tom.
No, absolutely. 71,000 deaths by fentanyl. What else do you need to know?
Yeah.
If that was a pharmaceutical product or a food product that was killing people, the Democrats would be all over the place. Look, they closed down a baby formula facility in Michigan run by, it was Abbott Labs, I believe, right?
Yep.
They closed that down. They didn't even prove any babies died from that. So on one hand, they overreact, and that large part caused the crisis of shortage of infant formula, right? So a hint of any problem, they shut down industry, but at the same time, the open border is just fine, even though fentanyl is flooding over the border, as well as, 1 million or 2, whatever, illegal immigrants.
Well, this really comes down to Democrats wanting to control, and Democrats, they're all about power. They don't care about people, Dr. Tom, even though they claim to, but they really don't. They want all these illegals to become citizens at some point so that they could vote Democrat. Don't forget the images of folks wearing the Biden T-shirts, thank you, Biden, or
Right.
help us, Biden, when they were making their trek to the border. The images, I mean, those images are out there. So look, this is all on Biden and his administration, totally.
Oh, absolutely. And at the bottom line, again, it's death and destruction from Biden. And to your point, they don't care about the American people. They only care about power and a new way of getting votes so they can stay in power. That's what this is all about.
Yeah.
It is such an American tragedy. And I hope the Republicans are able to take both the House and the Senate. And I really do hope that they impeach President Biden. After all, they lowered the bar for impeachment for former President Trump. And Biden right here, he's not protecting the United States. he's not enforcing the border security laws like he should. So I do hope they hold him accountable if and when they take power. But as we're speaking right now, the political aspects of this are really important as the midterm elections approach. And illegal immigration, I believe, is going to be a huge issue come November, right?
Yep.
There was a special election in Texas a couple of months ago where Republican Mayra Flores won the 34th congressional district in Texas. This was the first time a Republican won that district since 1870. All right? Is that not a data point in terms of border security and how it was important for that Texas community since 1870? And polling, voters are backing Governor Greg Abbott's busing illegal immigrants to blue states. According to Rasmussen reports, 52% of likely voters approve of Abbott's policy, including 36% who strongly approve. People are appreciating the honesty and the exposing of what Democrats are trying to hide under the rug. And Hispanic voters are supporting Governor DeSantis' effort. You know, the only 50 that went into Martha's Vineyard. Morning Consults and Politico found that 41% of Hispanic voters believe DeSantis' effort was appropriate versus 34% deemed inappropriate. So that's important. Hispanic vote is huge in this upcoming election.
Yes.
And finally, according to Rasmussen reports, concern about illegal immigration jumped 11 points, and now it's number 6 on the top midterm issues facing the country. Number 6. The others include, obviously, energy prices, inflation, and crime. But immigration is now number 6. So that's why this issue is hugely important. And this is why both Denise and I are encouraging our listeners and viewers to show and have your friends listen to this podcast so that they can be informed of the truth, what's going on in our country, the problems, the horrible consequences of this open border policy, the fact that Democrats are just lying to you, just lying to you. The American people need to understand that so that they can go out and vote appropriately and hold these liars accountable.
Well said, Dr. Tom. Democrats think you're stupid, folks. Folks, thanks for checking out Reigniting Liberty. And remember, everyone has a role to play. What are you doing for liberty? Until next time.